Ladies and gentlemen, the world waits. Not for the clever, not for the lucky, but for the decided. Nothing in your life changes until you do. No mountain moves, no door opens, no opportunity breathes until you take the first step. All stays still till you step up. Understand this fundamental truth. Success does not seek the passive. It aligns itself with those who have made a decision, those who have trained their minds to expect more, demand more, be more. It is not the external world holding you back. It is the internal permission you have yet to grant yourself. Education teaches us facts, but transformation comes from a decision, and that decision must come from within. It is the moment you say, I will no longer wait for permission. I will no longer hope for greatness. I will rise and own it. That is when everything begins. Your mind is the engine room of your destiny. What you feed, it becomes the fuel for your reality. Think in terms of power, and power answers. Think in terms of lack, and you attract limitations. Your thoughts are the architects of your circumstances. And every moment you spend doubting is a moment you rob from your future. Now listen carefully. Act as you are the best. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is training your spirit to rise to your potential. When you walk, walk like someone on a mission. When you speak, speak with certainty. The world mirrors your energy. It cannot give you what you don't first give yourself. We must educate ourselves in more than academics. We must master the psychology of self-belief. That's the true curriculum of success. The greatest achievers weren't always the most talented or the most privileged. They were simply the ones who stood up and declared, I am ready. Do not wait for motivation. Be the motivator. Do not wait for the right time. This is the right time. Do not wait to feel confident. Confidence is born from action, not the other way around. To every student, every dreamer, every builder of tomorrow, nothing around you will change unless something within you does first. Step up, train your mind, act like you're already at the top, and soon the world will treat you accordingly. Nothing in life begins without action. You can plan, you can visualize, you can even pray for change, but until you act, you remain in place. The river of opportunity does not flow toward the passive observer. It rushes toward the person who dares to step into the current. The truth is simple, yet it is often overlooked. Nothing moves until you do. In the realm of thought, ideas are infinite. Every person has dreams, desires, and visions of a better life. But if dreams were enough, the world would be filled with kings. It is not the dreamer who succeeds, it is the doer. Action is the bridge between what you imagine and what you experience. You could have the most brilliant strategy in the world, but if it is not executed, it remains theory. Ideas without action are like seeds left in a drawer. Potential, but no harvest. Many people wait. They wait for the perfect time. They wait for approval. They wait until they feel ready. But in the natural order of success, readiness is not a prerequisite. Movement is. It is by moving that we become ready. Progress does not reward those who are careful not to make mistakes. It rewards those who dare to make motion their habit. You do not need to have it all figured out. You only need to begin. The moment you take the first step, you create momentum. And momentum is the companion of achievement. Action is not about force, it is about direction. A small step in the right direction is more powerful than 1,000 hours spent imagining the journey. Those who act, even imperfect, will learn faster, grow deeper, and advance further than those who wait for certainty. Because in action there is feedback. The world responds to movement. Every step you take brings you information. And every piece of information makes you more equipped for the next level. You must educate yourself not just with facts, but with discipline. Discipline to move. Discipline to do what needs to be done whether you feel like it or not. The greatest minds in history were not only thinkers, they were executors. The difference between a philosopher and a leader is one simple thing: execution. It is not how much you know, but how much you apply that determines the results you get. The person who takes 10 small actions will always outperform the one who takes none, no matter how smart they may be. There is no energy in indecision. When you hesitate, you stagnate. When you act, you initiate. You send a message, not only to others, but to yourself, that you are in control. Action builds confidence. Confidence builds consistency. Consistency builds character, and character builds results. The longer you sit on your ideas, the more they decay. Inaction breeds doubt and fear, but action breeds clarity and courage. Most breakthroughs are not born in comfort. They are sparked by movement. You will not discover your true strength until you put yourself in motion. You will not find your purpose by standing still. Motion reveals what contemplation never can. When you act even clumsily, you give life to your ambition. You trigger forces inside you that were dormant. You awaken resilience, resourcefulness, and resolve. These qualities are not gifted. They are grown through the fire of action. Action also creates influence. People trust those who move. They follow those who initiate. The person who steps up first becomes the leader, not because they are better, but because they are visible. You cannot be seen while hiding. You cannot be heard while silent. The world is waiting for someone to make the first move. That someone can be you. Education prepares the mind, but action activates it. You don't need more information. You need more application. You don't need more time. You need more boldness. 1 hour of committed action can produce more change than a lifetime of hesitation. This is not theory. It is reality. Everything you admire in others, every success you aspire to replicate, was built not by chance, not by wishful thinking, but by action. 1 step at a time, 1 bold move at a time. So when everything feels stuck, when the path ahead seems unclear, or when fear whispers that you are not enough, remember this: nothing moves until you do. You are the switch. Flip it. Everything you will ever become begins in the mind. The mind is the workshop of creation, the control tower of destiny, and the origin point of every achievement or failure you will experience. Long before success manifests in your hands, it is built within your thoughts. Your circumstances are not the cause of your thinking. Your thinking is the cause of your circumstances. The outer world merely reflects the patterns established in your inner world. If you master your thoughts, you master your life, because the mind is the master key. Every object in your environment, every invention, every building, every business, every movement, began first as a thought. Someone conceived an idea, held onto it, refined it, and acted on it until it became real. This is the invisible power that governs progress. The mind is where all things begin. You cannot rise higher than the picture you carry of yourself. If you see limitation, you act limited. If you see power, you act powerful. The way you think writes the script you live by. Thoughts are not passive. They are forces. They attract, repel, create, and destroy. When you repeat a thought often enough, it becomes a belief. That belief becomes a command to your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind, without judgment or hesitation, obeys that command. Whether the thought is empowering or destructive, your subconscious does not filter, it fulfills. This is why you must become the guardian of your mental space. Not everything that enters your mind deserves to stay. The difference between a person who rises and one who remains stuck is not just their skill or opportunity. It is the quality of their thinking. One sees problems as permanent. The other sees problems as puzzles to be solved. One views failure as the end. The other sees it as feedback. These distinctions are subtle, but they are everything. The world you experience is colored by the lens through which your mind interprets it. You must educate your mind daily, not only through books, but through intentional direction. Ask yourself constantly, what am I feeding my mind? Are the thoughts I repeat preparing me for greatness, or programming me for mediocrity? Just as the body becomes what you feed it, your results become what you feed your mind. If you fill your mind with doubt, worry, and fear, your life begins to echo those conditions. But if you fill your mind with purpose, belief, and determination, your reality must shift to match. There is no progress without mental alignment. You cannot build success while thinking like a failure. You cannot lead if you constantly see yourself as less. The mind accepts what it is told repeatedly, especially with emotion. If you say to yourself, I'm not ready, long enough your body will behave as if it were true. But say to yourself, I am capable, I am learning, I am built for this. And eventually your actions will rise to match that belief. The great tragedy is not lack of opportunity, but lack of mental discipline. So many people train for a job, but never train their thinking. They memorize formulas, but never examine the stories they tell themselves. A mind filled with fear cannot build a future. A mind that clings to the past cannot create something new. You must deliberately choose thoughts that elevate, because left alone, the mind will default to safety and survival, not greatness. Success begins with imagination, but it requires repetition. You must hold the vision so clearly in your mind that it becomes real to you before it becomes real to the world. Your imagination is not a toy, it is a tool. And when you combine imagination with belief, your actions begin to align with your purpose. What you once thought was impossible starts to seem natural. The outer world moves in the direction of the inner world you have built. Do not underestimate the power of a thought held with intention. The person who sees themselves as a leader eventually becomes one, because their mind searches for ways to prove the image true. The person who sees themselves as a failure unconsciously sabotages opportunities because they do not believe they deserve more. This is not superstition. It is psychology. You act according to the image you carry. And that image is shaped every day, thought by thought, word by word, belief by belief. The mind is the master key. It unlocks the doors to the future or it bolts them shut, and the only person who holds that key is you. You will never outperform the image you hold of yourself. No matter how much talent you possess, no matter how many resources you gather, no matter how much opportunity is placed before you, if your self-image is small, your results will shrink to match it. This is the hidden law of human potential. You do not rise to your hopes, you rise to your standards, and your standard is set by how you see yourself. Your self-image is not a reflection of your ability. It is the thermostat that controls the heat of your actions. If it is set low, your performance will cool to match. If it is raised, your results will rise accordingly. The world responds to how you present yourself, but more importantly, you respond to how you perceive yourself. If you see yourself as second rate, your energy, your communication, your habits, and even your posture will reflect that belief. But if you choose to carry yourself like someone of value, like someone with something to offer, like someone who belongs in the room, you will begin to behave in ways that reinforce that identity. The results follow the self-perception. There is immense power in acting like the best, not because it tricks the world, but because it trains the mind. You begin to signal to your subconscious that you are worthy of the life you desire. Most people wait until they achieve something big before they give themselves permission to feel confident. But confidence is not a reward, it is a responsibility. It must be chosen before the evidence appears. The act of behaving like the best is not pretense, it is preparation. It conditions you to accept higher levels of performance, expectation, and opportunity. What separates high achievers from average performers is not just effort. It's not even intelligence, it is identity. High performers see themselves as such. They have internalized a standard, and everything they do is measured against it. They do not wait for external validation to confirm who they are. They decide internally and then act accordingly. They do not wonder if they are enough. They carry themselves as if they are, and by doing so, they become more than they once were. You must take ownership of the image you hold in your mind, because it becomes the filter through which you process every challenge and every opportunity. When someone believes they are a leader, they step up in crisis. When someone believes they are creative, they find solutions under pressure. But if you believe you are not good enough, then even when success knocks, you may not answer. Your self-image either opens doors or keeps them locked. Children believe they can do anything until the world teaches them otherwise, that natural confidence is not arrogance, it is authenticity. Over time, as failures come, as criticism is absorbed, as comparisons are made, people begin to shrink. They adjust their image downward to match past disappointments. But the truth is, you can reverse that. You can rebuild the way you see yourself by choosing different language, different behaviors, and different company. When you begin to show up as your highest version, the world will adjust its treatment of you to match. If you want to change your life, start by changing your image, not the one in the mirror, but the one in your mind. Speak differently to yourself. Walk with purpose. Speak with clarity. Dress with intention. Carry yourself as if you matter. because you do. Every time you act like the best, you reinforce that identity. Over time, it becomes less of a stretch and more of a standard. Eventually, you won't have to fake it, because you'll have become it. Your brain takes cues from your body and your behavior. When you begin to act with confidence, take responsibility, aim higher, and refuse mediocrity, your mind gets the message, this is who we are now. You don't need to wait for others to see your value. You must see it first. You must raise your internal standard so high that anything less than excellence becomes uncomfortable. That is how people break through plateaus, by shifting their identity before their environment changes. Acting like the best doesn't mean copying someone else. It means deciding that your best version deserves to be seen. It means choosing not to apologize for your goals, not to shrink for comfort, and not to settle for less. When you set your self-image higher, everything in your life begins to reorganize to support that elevation. New habits emerge, new people appear, new results follow. You are not waiting to become someone. You are remembering who you were always capable of being. And when you act like the best, you invite the best out of yourself. Success is never an accident. It is not the result of luck, nor is it granted by favor. It is earned through intention. The person who moves with clarity moves with power, and the person who knows what they want can summon all their energy, focus, and will to make it real. Definiteness of purpose is the cornerstone of all high achievement. Without it, even the most gifted individuals scatter their efforts. With it, even ordinary people become extraordinary. Clarity is not optional. It is essential. When you lack purpose, everything becomes a distraction. You chase one thing today and another tomorrow, constantly starting and rarely finishing. You get excited about possibilities but never commit to a path. You confuse busyness for progress, but motion without direction is wasted energy. It exhausts you, frustrates you, and leaves you no closer to your goals. The person without a definite purpose becomes like a ship without a rudder, at the mercy of the wind, drifting wherever life pushes them. But the one who defines their mission becomes unstoppable, because every decision now serves a singular aim. To live with purpose is to draw a line in the sand. It is to declare, this is who I am, this is what I will accomplish, and nothing will pull me off course. That clarity gives birth to discipline. It sharpens your focus. It simplifies your choices. When you know where you are going, you do not waste time arguing with distractions. You recognize what serves you and what does not. You align your daily actions with your long-term vision. This alignment is where true momentum is born. Clarity creates speed. Think of a sprinter on the track. They are not wondering where the finish line is. They are not second, guessing their lane. They are locked in, fully present, and fully committed to the direction they've chosen. That is the power of definiteness of purpose. It eliminates hesitation. When you know what you are after, you do not pause to entertain every option. You move, you decide, you build, and every move you make compounds because it's aimed at a single target. People often wait to feel motivated, but motivation flows from purpose. When your goal is clear and emotionally charged, you do not need to be pushed. You are pulled. You wake up with urgency. You work with intention. The purpose becomes your inner engine, but without that clarity, work feels heavy. Progress feels vague. Life becomes a loop of effort without fulfillment. That's why the most valuable education is not just learning facts. It's learning yourself. Knowing what you want and why you want it is the first step in becoming unstoppable. The world respects the person who knows what they want. That person walks differently, speaks differently, and acts with conviction. People trust leaders who have a clear direction, not because they know everything, but because they are going somewhere. Clarity is magnetic. It attracts resources, people, and opportunities that align with your mission, but indecision repels results. If you're not sure what you want, how can others help you get it? The clearer your purpose, the more aligned your environment becomes. Definiteness of purpose also builds resilience. When challenges come, and they will, you do not retreat or change course every time there's resistance. You expect obstacles, but you see them as part of the journey, not a reason to quit. Purpose gives pain a meaning. When you have a why, you can endure almost any how. People give up not because they're weak, but because they're unclear. When your purpose is shallow, your effort is inconsistent. But when your purpose is deep, your will becomes unbreakable. You cannot afford to be vague with your goals. You cannot move forward while still looking backward. You must decide who you are and what you are here to do. Write it down, speak it aloud, refuse to settle for a life that does not match your inner vision. That vision, when clearly defined, becomes your compass. Even if the path is hard, even if the results take time, you remain steady because your direction is set. You do not need to see the entire staircase. You only need to know where the top leads. Purpose does not require that you understand every step, only that you commit to the journey. Every great achievement began with a single decision, spoken with certainty and pursued without apology. And once that purpose was set, the universe began to organize itself in response. The right people showed up, the right doors opened, the momentum grew, because that is what happens when a person becomes clear. Success cannot ignore someone who refuses to be unclear about what they want. Every great accomplishment begins with belief. Not belief in the world, not belief in circumstances, but belief in oneself. Faith is not just a religious word. It is the unseen force that fuels all human progress. Without it, effort dies in the womb. With it, the impossible begins to bend. Faith is the spark that lights the fire of desire, and without it, no amount of skill, intelligence, or planning will be enough. To have confidence in yourself is not arrogance. It is necessity. Before the world will ever believe in you, you must believe in you. There is a quiet war that takes place in the minds of most people. On one side is their ambition, and on the other side is their doubt. Faith is the deciding factor. It is the voice that says, yes, you can, when fear whispers, no, you can't. It is the steady hand in the storm, the compass when the map is unclear. Faith is the internal assurance that no matter what happens outside of you, something inside of you is greater. When you believe in yourself, your spirit becomes unshakable and people feel it. It speaks before you do. It enters the room before your name is known. It shapes your presence, your tone, your posture, your decisions. You will not always have immediate proof of your ability. Results often come after long periods of effort. But faith gives you the courage to keep going even when there is no applause, no recognition, and no confirmation. It allows you to stay the course when logic says to stop. Many people abandon their goals not because they lacked talent, but because they lacked faith. They stopped believing, and so they stopped showing up. You cannot outperform your self-belief. The moment you stop believing in your ability to rise, your actions begin to sink. True confidence is not loud. It is not boastful. It is quiet, certain, and firm. It does not demand attention, but it commands respect. It is built from within, forged through daily decisions, born from discipline. Confidence grows when you make promises to yourself and keep them. Each time you follow through, your faith strengthens. Each time you push beyond doubt, your foundation deepens. It is not enough to say you believe. You must prove it through your actions. Words may start the engine, but only consistency keeps it running. You must guard your faith like a treasure. Doubt is always lurking. It comes disguised as logic, dressed in the voice of others, often even masquerading as humility. But doubt is not wisdom. It is paralysis. It offers safety in exchange for potential. Faith, on the other hand, asks you to risk, to reach, to stretch beyond comfort. And though it may lead you into unknown territory, it never leaves you powerless. The person who moves in faith always finds strength along the way, because faith does not promise an easy path, it promises a meaningful one. Faith is also contagious. When you walk with belief, others begin to believe too. You inspire action not by demanding it from others, but by demonstrating it in yourself. The leader who believes even in chaos becomes the pillar others lean on. The entrepreneur who persists when the market is slow becomes the one others watch. The student who keeps studying even after setbacks becomes the one who eventually sets the curve. Faith does not guarantee instant success, but it does guarantee progress, because faith ensures continuation, and success always belongs to those who endure. Fear will never vanish, but faith gives you the power to act in spite of it. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that something matters more than fear. When you believe in yourself, you can walk into unfamiliar rooms, speak in uncomfortable conversations, and stretch into unfamiliar levels of performance. You can say yes to things you don't yet fully understand, knowing you'll figure it out. You can stand alone if necessary, knowing that your worth is not dependent on approval. That's what faith does. It anchors you in your own value before the results ever arrive. Belief turns invisible dreams into visible steps. When you hold a vision of yourself succeeding and refuse to let it go, you begin to live in alignment with that vision. You speak differently. You train differently. You treat yourself with higher respect. People see the change long before the title or the trophy arrives, and when the results do come, it's no surprise. Because inwardly you had already claimed the victory. Faith made it real before the world did. You will never rise higher than your belief in yourself. Skill can be taught. Knowledge can be acquired, but faith must be chosen. You must wake up and decide, I am capable, I am ready, I will move forward. And if you can make that decision consistently, regardless of what others say or what challenges appear, then you have already won the most important victory, the one inside. When you understand that life responds to action, that results wait on decision, and that everything remains still until you step forward, you realize the immense power you hold. The world does not move for the hesitant, it moves for the bold. Your thoughts shape your path, your self-image sets your standard, your clarity fuels your drive, and your faith sustains your momentum. But none of these principles matter unless you rise and apply them. You do not need perfect conditions, you need a decisive will. The moment you step up, truly step up, and act as if you are the best, not in arrogance but in conviction, everything begins to align. Doors open, opportunities emerge, strength awakens. Because greatness does not belong to a chosen few, it belongs to those who choose to become it. So let the world stand still no longer. Step up, act as you are the best, and watch life move in your favor.